Welcome to Timesink, the weekly podcast to let you know what's worth sinking your time into. I'm your host, Sauce, joined as always by the beautiful and wonderful Mr. Hummer
What up, guys?
and Big Tito.
Hey, how's it going?
This week we're going to be hitting you, talking about what's hot in TVs, what's hot in movies. Is it worth your time? We're going to be talking about some older stuff that maybe you haven't gotten around checking out. Is it worth your time? And whatever weird stuff we're also checking out and into. So we're going to be bringing you a lot today. So we're going to get right into it. Let's see, Mr. Hummer. I know that it's been a little busy for you for this last week, but what have you got a chance to check out yet so far?
So, I've been really focused on building a PC and doing the research that it takes to do that. So, I've been real retro this week, watching movies where I've probably seen them more times than I'd care to admit, simply because I can have them on the background, check it out, watch the movie while also continuing to do the research. One of the movies in particular, Deep Impact. Low key, probably one of my favorite movies, even though it's like really cheesy. The timelines make zero sense. Like, if you're supposed to have a tidal wave that's going to wash up in the Ohio Valley, and then they show a sign that says you're 7 miles from Virginia Beach, approximately at the same point in this show where you see Elijah Wood get on a motorcycle to start outrunning the wave that's coming for him in about 20 minutes real world time. I don't get it, but I love it.
Known world-class cyclist. Was Deep Impact? Trying to refresh my memory. That's it's Meteor, right? It's a Meteor movie. Back when Meteor movies were a thing. It's the better version of Armageddon.
The lower budget version, I'd say, but yes, better.
Okay.
That was the like Meteor movie, like also Deep Sea like movie time frame, right? So then you had like The Abyss and the other one.
I think you
Disaster
had
movie, yeah.
maybe the core, where we're drilling into the core of the Earth. You know, right around that time before CG was like good, but they were starting to use it, way more than what they should.
Yeah, you're bringing it back to me now. Despite my deep emotional connection to I don't want to miss a thing, I think I prefer Deep Impact certainly.
Let's go ahead and get that soundbite from Tito.
I don't want to close my eyes.
That was Hummer, by the way. I haven't warmed up. I've had a lot of coffee today, so maybe next time.
Yeah, it's a solid film. Also, in another one is The Tourist with Johnny Depp and the always hot Angelina Jolie, luscious Angelina Jolie.
Still fire. She still
I'm
got it.
more of a Brad Pitt guy.
Tito was on team Mr. Smith and not Mrs. Smith.
Yes, yeah,
Was or still?
Oh yeah, still.
still am. Yep.
Shh, don't let
Those
my
are some
secret out.
classics, man. And by classics, I mean old movies.
Not exactly in the true realm of classics. Oh, and I finished. What else we finished? We finished. What was I watching? That's how good it was. Mad Men. Finished Mad Men. Powered through some Mad
Damn.
Men.
You powered through that.
Yeah, I had to watch there was 5 episodes left, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting this over with so I can move on from this and get to what's new. Love is Blind.
Oh,
Tell me about it. I'm not a romantic, so I don't know anything about it.
hey.
So Love is Blind. It's this weirdly fantastic show where you have 10 women, 10 men. They get together and they do these dates inside of these pods where they're not allowed to see the other person.
Not hot.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of pod? What do you mean pod? I've never seen it. I don't know. What
It's
you're
just
talking about.
like an octagon shaped room where each of them are in their own and it's separated with a screen where they can't see it, almost like a confessional where you can't see father. But the big thing there is the idea behind it
Same
is
sexual attention.
yes. And you're basically they're going on these dates, and at the end of one of these, like I think they were in there for maybe like some of the longest one was like 9 days, but one person after like 4 days proposed to this woman. After you propose to the person, if they say yes, you actually meet them in real life. They jet them off to like a resort where they stay for a couple weeks before they go into the real world to live together for 20 days or something before they actually get married.
So multiple follow-up questions. Is everyone hot, or is there a range of people? So maybe I'm really hot, but then the person I'm talking, let's switch this around. Maybe someone's really hot and they're talking to me and my personality is amazing, but then they see me and they're like, whoa, 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 what's up with this? Is everyone hot, or is there a spectrum?
You got a real Eric
There's
Stoltz
a spectrum,
situation?
but for the most part, everyone's like on the spectrum of good looking. There wasn't anyone that you probably saw or just like woof.
Okay.
Maybe, depending on your personal preferences.
Are they all Americans, or is it multicultural?
I believe they were all Americans. If I'm not mistaken, I think they were all from Atlanta, Georgia, is where they lived. So that way, when they went back in the real world, they were, wasn't like you're trying to match someone from LA to someone who lived in New York and be like, congratulations, you're married. Figure out how to be bi-coastal.
And is it a minimum of 4 days? Like they have to talk for 4 days, or it's just like however long?
Yeah.
And someone pulls the trigger and they.
Yeah, and it's a big of a train wreck as it sounds like, except for so they did this experiment over a year ago before they released it, and I don't want to spoil anything, but there are some couples apparently who are still married.
Nice.
I really like that. Sounds interesting, but I really want to see the version where like they throw in a couple of real stinkers in there, like, just like some hideous looking people that like they fall in love and then they're like, oh God, no, what have I done?
Well,
yeah, absolutely. You got to throw in the amazing conversationalist, like hilarious person who, and then it doesn't quite work out.
Well, Sauce Tito, I hear they are holding open auditions.
Heyo.
I've always honestly wanted to be on a reality TV dating show, but never was in the cards for me.
I want to do Survivor.
Oh man, I wanted to be on The Real World so bad when I was in high school.
Amazing Race was my personal choice.
Ooh. Good one. I like The Amazing Race. Survivor is still my go-to. I still watch Survivor. That's a 5 for me. Survivor is a 5, especially this season. Go back and watch all of it. It's phenomenal.
Damn. This season of Survivor is a 5?
Yeah. It's all past winners.
I honestly didn't even know Survivor was still going on, but the fact that you,
same.
said it's a 5 makes me want to. I'll take a look.
There's only one reality show that I ever really got into, and it was hands down the best reality show that's ever existed and probably ever will exist, and that was Flavor of Love.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Kardashians.
No, definitely not. But Flavor of Love was the best thing that ever happened to TV because they had a bunch of dumb bimbos for some reason trying to be with Flavor Flav, who's like
what reason could it
30
be?
years older than what could it possibly be? It was so funny.
I loved Flavor of Love. I watched every episode for the first. There was a sequel season to Flavor of Love. He got to the end of the first season and picked his lady love, and then the next year they renewed it because he broke up with that person. Brought the second place person back, the person who came in second in Flavor of Love, as a judge for season 2, and then towards the end of the season, she re-entered the season.
Flavor Flav.
Oh, good.
It's reality show genius.
Wasn't one of the people? Wasn't like Tequila on Flavor Flav before she got Tequila?
Yeah, that's it.
I believe it's Shot of Love is what you're thinking of.
Shot of Love.
Yeah.
And
then she turned out to like women.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The little I remember from her is that she's very controversial all over the place. Yeah, I haven't watched a like really gotten into a reality TV show in a long time, besides British Baking Championship. So maybe I'll check out this season of Survivor and Love Is Blind. That all honestly sounds really interesting.
Love is Blind.
So,
I'll warn you. You'll go. I think it's like more of a roller coaster. It starts off just absolutely fire. Just you're like, what are these insane people doing? But then as the show goes on, like you're addicted, you're invested. But then you go and you're like, why are you still doing this? Why are you still doing this? Oh my God, you're a fucking idiot. Why are you still doing this? And then you get to the reunion show and you're like, yes.
So what would you rate it if Survivor this season is your 5? Where do you for all the reality TV fans out there?
Oh, Love Is Blind is a tough one to rate because it's really going to depend. A lot of it just goes into your personal preference for types of shows. Like Tiger King is an absolute disaster that you can't look away from. But for some people, they're going to watch Love Is Blind and say, "Okay, I can look away." Other people are going to be like, just like, oh, "What?" So I'd give it a 3.
All right.
but Survivor gets a 5 this season.
This season of Survivor gets a 5. It's called Winners at War. So it's all the past, not all of them, but a lot of the past winners are all coming. They all came together. So everybody on the show has already won. Some of them have won more than once. They're like the legends of the show. They raised the pool from 1 million to 2 million. They're just absolutely crushing this
Gotta bump
season.
those numbers up.
Yeah.
Last question: are they hot? I haven't watched Survivor in a while. I remember it was a lot of old people in the first season. Have they gotten hotter?
There's some. Not gonna. Maybe a couple, 2. They're not necessarily old.
Sounds less hot from a purely shallow perspective than Love Is Blind.
Way to go.
It just went down a point.
So
Down a
for all
point
of you
for Tito.
shallow monsters out there, something to take into account.
All right, Love Is Blind. So I'm pretty sure Tito also checked this out this week too. But brand new hot from some of my best friends, the Russos on Netflix. My best buddies, the Russo brothers. Me and them, we made it together basically. Extraction.
Every episode.
Extraction with Chris Hemsworth and a bunch of other Bangladeshi people I don't know, and I'm assuming.
Very Bangladesh heavy, which is fine, it's fine.
My wife was really into it.
Really?
Well, because she saw a lot of attractive brown people, and that's what she's into.
Yeah, she's. I don't know how to follow that up, other than to say, yeah, that's the evidence shows that's to be true.
So
that
what'd you think of
sounds about
Extraction,
right.
Tito?
It was. There are good parts and bad parts. So it's kind of your straightforward. It's kind of a throwback to like old school action movies. You have Chris Hemsworth, who is great. He's funny. He's big. He's muscly. If he was on a reality TV show, he'd be in the hot reality TV show, not on like season 1 of Survivor.
Rude.
And like he's a good leading man. Like he can definitely carry a movie. And he's basically a mercenary. Just to give you a quick plot summary, he's a mercenary. A kidnapping happens. He gets hired to recover the kidnapped person, and that's kind of the whole thrust behind the movie. It's, for me personally, it didn't have a ton of depth. It had a couple of pretty strong action sequences, but that was separated by a lot of dry, kind of slow-moving stuff in between. So I like Chris Hemsworth. I like a nice hand-to-hand fighting sequence, all that good stuff. The stunts were good, but the movie overall was a little on the shallow side. So for me personally, I think it's worth checking out. I haven't seen like just a good old-fashioned like large muscly man shooty action movie that held my attention for a little while. I put it at like a 3 out of 5. If you're looking for something to watch, you have Netflix. Nothing else on your list is popping up right now. Put it on. But for all of you shallow monsters out there who are looking for some good biceps, you can bump it up a point or 2.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same page, biceps and all. the action scenes were really really well done, and there's one part that this isn't a spoiler, but so there's a car chase scene, and I'm looking at it from like a cinematography point of view. So like the camera's following the car like going down an alley, and then the car has to back up. Like it's a car chase scene, so they're flying down an alley, but then it has to go in reverse down that alley, so the camera's behind them, and then it following them, and then the car like swivels and does a 180, and the camera swivels into the back seat of the car, like so it's following it from behind, then into the back seat of the car, and it just looked all in one take, looked so awesome. And so little stuff like that, like there's a knife fight in the middle of the street with like motorcycles going in between them. It's just very well filmed. Like you can tell like the Russos like stuck their hand into that part because they only produced it. But the action is very good, and Chris Pratt he's hilarious, right? Like in the Thor Ragnarok, which is definitely a 5 out of 5 movie, one of the best MCU movies.
Thor is great. Ragnarok.
Yes, Ragnarok, not the first one or the second one.
No.
Definitely not. But he is funny, so they had to like take him out of that like position where he could crack jokes and stuff, so he just doesn't talk the whole movie. Basically is very like one word, and or there's only like one dialogue heavy scene for him, one or two, but I think it's great.
Yeah,
but I think like you could plug him into like any of these new action movies and he'd do a really good job. But he's lucky because he's an action movie star, and then they found out he can do comedy, and he's really good at it too. Because sometimes you have comedians like Chris Pratt who end up, they're hilarious, but then they end up becoming action stars, like when he got fit and became Star-Lord.
Kumail Nanjiani.
And Kumail, yeah, got straight ripped, but we don't know if he's a good action hero yet or not.
I'm
right?
still not. It's gonna be hard to like picture him as anything other than from Silicon Valley. Just not. It's gonna be so hard.
Right, I agree. But we'll see, because it's a Marvel movie that he's coming out in the Eternals. But my point is like having people that are good at comedy and good at action is very very rare, and so they can definitely basically Chris Hemsworth does a good job at that role, even though they don't use him in a comedic role. But overall the plot is not very heavy. Definitely you're not watching it for the plot. So I would give it also a 3 out of 5.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll say I've watched an embarrassing amount of TV this week. A whole lot of stuff on Netflix and some other places. I'm trying to see if we've had any other overlap. So other new things that came out in the last week that I watched. So Friday came home, needed something to check out with the wife. Kids were kind of chilling out, so we watched the first episode of Waco. Did you guys see Waco on Netflix?
I want to see that one. How was it?
It's good. It's honestly like really strong. So I was as we all were, like kids in the 90s. This Waco massacre happened in the 90s. If you had asked me before I watched this show, like what happened, I would have said there was a cult in Texas. They got found out by the government. FBI went in there. They had a shootout. Everybody killed themselves at the end of it. And it just goes into the story where, like, certainly, basically, yeah, it was a cult, and there was some really messed up stuff happening, but it wasn't a super violent cult, and there was a lot of questions about the way the FBI and the government handled their evaluation, assessment, and ultimate, like, takeover of that area, and if a lot of the loss of life could have been prevented. But they do it from a narrative standpoint, and the story is just really well told. So if you ever watched Friday Night Lights, it took a while to recognize him. But Hummer, did you ever watch Friday Night Lights? I know Sauce has not.
I'm another one, man. I had a girlfriend try to get me into it, and we watched maybe 2 episodes, then we broke up and stopped watching it.
Dang, Tito. ripping open those old wounds.
Oh, sorry if this is triggering another strong emotional memory for someone on the podcast here, but one of the actors from Friday Night Lights uh, who they tried to make famous after he got on Friday Night Lights, is the main guy in Waco, and there's several other people. John Leguizamo's in it.
Ooh.
Michael Shannon is in it as one of the FBI agents. So the cast is really good. The acting is good, and it's just a nice short. It's like 6, I think, 45-minute to hour-long episodes. So we watched 1 or 2 episodes a day over the last week or so, and like just kind of ran through it. It's really good. It's really educational. It kind of gives you a lot more details about what happened, and they kind of pepper in like real information, so you can tell what they uh, what they improvised and what was based on actual information. And if you only have a vague memory of what happened, the whole series I wanted to Google and see like what was going to happen with this character, if this guy was real, who lives, whatever. But held myself back because it was like a real show, and I was curious to see like what happened with the characters in the end. So this one, I wouldn't say, yeah, turn off the podcast, go watch it, but it's a 4. Like bump it right up to the top of the list. Watch the first episode or 2. I think you'll get really into it.
Damn, we give out a lot of 4s.
Well, I
There's
was
so much
thinking
good
about
stuff right
that.
Yeah,
now.
you guys are too
There's just so
generous.
much good stuff. There's just so much good stuff right now.
I got a couple stinkers coming up.
Yeah. Speaking of
Ooh.
stinkers, I like to watch a movie every Saturday night with the family. We call it family movie night. And actually, this is a funny story. I'm going to tell it. When I was young-
Lame. Families
when
are
I was
lame.
Yes, and here's why. When I was a young lad, a young boy growing up, I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10, and all I wanted was to get my parents together, and with my sisters, and just have like a family movie night. And I told my dad, can we can all hang out in the living room and watch a movie, and we'll do a family movie night. And then my dad just bust out laughing. It's like, family movie night? Is this guy kidding me? And family movie night with that shit. And so
Got
flash
him.
to like even 20 years later, I'm in my 30s, and my dad will still bring up, hey, remember that one time you wanted us to have family movie night? still
So you
still
were a
make fun of
child,
yeah.
and you wanted to hang out with your family.
Yeah.
And your dad found that idea laughable.
Yeah.
Go to your room, and then he.
So, still to this day, they still make fun of me for suggesting that. So, psychological trauma aside, I like to have a family movie night with my kids on Saturdays. So, so they'll sleep in Sunday morning basically, and we watched Dr. Doolittle. Downloaded it, rented it off Amazon Prime, because Robert Downey Jr. is one of the greatest actors of our time. And as a kids movie, they liked it. They were entertained by it. The climax of the movie is so ridiculous. Like I want to ruin it because of how stupid it is. But yeah, that's a big stinker. I wouldn't say don't ever watch it, because if you got kids, they'll be entertained by it. But that's gonna get a solid 2 out of 5 from me. Robert Downey Jr.'s accent's weird. There's no other talent in the movie. It's all CGI, but actually Antonio Banderas is in the movie and he's good at it. But that's it. Overall story, 2 out of 5. My wife just texted me, give it a 4 out of 5.
Bang.
It's because Antonio Banderas was in it, I'm assuming.
Give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, so that's my stinker. Did you have another stinker, Tito?
Yeah. So at work this week, I had some like a large amount of mindless busy work to do. So while I was working on it, I was screening, and on one screen, whenever I have like mindless busy work, you have something you want in the background, and since we're looking through content, I figured I could check out something I wasn't too interested in, but like was a little curious about. So I looked at the Willoughbys, also on Netflix. They It popped up a lot. I feel like it's gotten just like a tiny bit of hype. There's a lot of names that I like in it. So like Will Forte is in it. Maya Rudolph is one of the voice actors. Uh, Terry Crews, Jane Krakowski, Ricky Gervais is like the main guy. Not a huge Ricky Gervais fan. Um, anyway, that so like all those names kind of drew my attention. So but I won't spend too much time on this. I didn't like it at all. It was so weird. It wasn't funny. It was very like wacky, crazy. The story didn't make a lot of sense. And like certainly it's a kids movie, but like man, there's so many good kids movies. Like every Pixar movie, we just saw Onward, which was amazing for kids, adults. Like good story, made me tear up. I turned Willoughby off and switched to I don't remember what I switched to, but I switched to something else. Like I couldn't. It was too annoying. It was distracting me from my mindless work, um, putting me in a bad mood. I turned all the lights off and took a nap in the middle of my office.
My mindless work.
So,
He was
so
so mad.
So I'll give this our first. I'll give this our first one. I would not recommend it. I wouldn't waste your time on it. I think there's probably tons of good other kids movies out right now that you could see. Maybe if you have kids and you're really looking for something, you could turn it on for them. Did you say?
My daughters they made it like 10 minutes in and lost interest immediately.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
the
back you up on that one.
thanks, man. Big stinker. Give it a 1.
Man. Well, that is something to not sink your time into.
Well, since you had a couple stinkers in a row, I want to gush about this next show.
Yeah.
So I saw an ad for this, and I was interested because I like the actors. So the it's called Middleditch and Schwartz. Schwartz. I need to ask Brad if I'm saying that right. Schwartz. So quick backstory. I love improv, and that's how actually Tito and I met, was in improv class, and I was really lucky. I got to do improv in college. I got to train at Second City, which is like where all the SNL people start at before they hit it big. That's one of the big comedy or improv places in Chicago. And there's like quick improv, which is like whose line is it anyway, and like you play games and stuff. And then there's like long form improv, which is you get a couple suggestions from the audience, and then you just kind of like make up an entire show or an entire scene. And that's what I did in college, and that's my favorite. So this is what that show is. It's long form improv. It's Thomas Middleditch, who's the main character from Silicon Valley, and Ben Schwartz, who is the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. He's also Jean-Ralphio in Parks and Rec. And it's just the two of them putting on a 2-man improv show, making everything up completely after one conversation with the audience. And the only props they have are 2 chairs. And it's fantastic. I was dying and just laughing the whole time. Obviously, I'm a target demographic because I'm a big improv fan. But I give that a 5 out of 5 because it was so freaking funny and I loved it. And there's only 3 episodes and they're only half hour, and I want them to be more. I want to go see them live. I looked up their schedule. They're going to be live in Texas in like August, but it's probably not going to happen. But I want to go see them live because it was so good, and I think it's worth your time if you want to watch something funny. Definitely check out Middleditch and Schwartz on Netflix.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes as well. I watched the first 2 episodes, and it's great. Like you said, that's how we met, was doing improv, and yeah, I think improv isn't for everyone. Like, there's a lot of people just out there doing it for fun. These guys sell it. Like, they're both so funny and super talented and super creative. It's crazy that they can make like a 30-minute show hilarious and high quality and easily accessible to everyone just off of some random ideas that they get from the audience all off the top of their head. It's really good. I wasn't gonna go with 5 because I can definitely see like in my head, I'm thinking of my dad being like, "What is this? Like, you're just making this up." Um, but so I don't think it's for everyone, but I do think like if I made my dad sit down and like just sit through it for 15-20 minutes, he would like it. Like he'd start laughing. It's just genuinely good. It's two talented guys doing whatever they want, and yeah, I would also highly recommend. It's solid.
Are you gonna check it out, Hummer?
I am. I already added it to my list on my Netflix.
That needs to be at the top of your list. I also
Ooh,
recommend
that
we change our
sounds-
scale to 1 out of 5 if Tito's dad would watch it.
My
Well.
dad just rewatches Game of Thrones like over and over. Um, he's like me a little bit. He's like a big nerd, but like he's physically a large man with lots of tattoos and like got in fights every day when he was growing up. So he's like me if my life was much harder. I have very soft hands.
If my wife was much harder, I would have soft hands. That will go down
Did you
as
check
the
out anything else
greatest
new,
line
Howard?
I've ever heard in my life.
I have two other new things that I saw that I can go over quickly. But Hummer, did you any other new stuff that you ran into that was hot this week?
New stuff. Not really. I mean, the Jordan documentary is probably the last thing that we're watching. And while I have all these beautiful, beautiful PC build parts just sitting on my workbench waiting to be mated with one another, my wife just
Tell me more.
tortured me. And wow, it made me just basically sit there on the couch and watch TV with her and be present. Uh, so we've been watching the new Jordan documentary, and I don't care if you're a sports fan or not. It is just a really good freaking documentary. I mean, I think everybody knows who Michael Jordan was, and just hearing kind of his story and and the way they did it is it's really well done. Where like it's going to take you through a little bit of the backstory of Michael Jordan, so you're going to have context while watching this documentary. But then on the flip side, if you're a huge sports fan, you're already going to have it, and you're just going to love hearing the inside stories and kind of seeing it. So basically, the whole premise about that documentary. Michael Jordan was approached and asked if he would have a camera crew follow him around for his last season with the Chicago Bulls. This was Adam Silver's idea, and Adam Silver is the current NBA commissioner, but at the time he wasn't. He was just like the head of their like marketing or PR or something along those lines. And Jordan agreed to it under the condition that he had sole discretion on when, how, and how the footage was used. So it's basically been, locked up for 22 years, and he agreed in 2016 after LeBron won the championship with Cleveland to release the footage, and it so far is nothing short of spectacular.
I've heard only good things about it. I think I just missed the first night where it came out, and so I've been waiting for all of it to be released before I watch it. But yeah, I hear it's amazing.
It's so if you download the ESPN app, and I believe if you have Netflix, you get access to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was in conjunction with Netflix. Was like one of the producers on it, so I believe so. Or if you have like Hulu TV or anything, you can just download the ESPN app. And right now there's 4 episodes out. I think there's only gonna be 10.
Okay.
I think you can get it on YouTube TV too, because somebody here may or may not be stealing my YouTube TV account.
So you
That
have
is
to
not
check
me.
in. I heard on the internet that you have to physically be in the zip code where the YouTube TV account is registered within 3 months, and so because someone has been, so if for example, someone was sequestered in a separate zip code because of a global pandemic for greater than 3 months, even though you're still signed in, it won't let you get access to the YouTube TV.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a fun fact for everybody out there.
I I thought in this hypothetical situation, someone thought that they got kicked off and got really salty at someone else for a little while, for like a week, and didn't text them until they did a little more digging, and then,
Was it
and then
Brad?
yeah, it was Brad. It was Brad for sure.
Hulu TV does something similar where I have like the unlimited screens, but the unlimited screens only applies to when I'm in the house. I can only have like so many that are outside of the house. I think it's like 2 or 3. So I'm very careful about who I share that password with.
And what is that password?
Yeah, and if you could hit us with that password, please.
One person,
It's a contest of the week.
I trade access to MLB TV and NBA TV for they access my Hulu TV, and then I'm a nice guy. I believe in family. I believe in family movie night.
Thank you. I needed to hear that.
Oh, thanks, Dad. That.
So I share it also with my family.
A little quid pro quo. I have man, I watched an embarrassing amount of TV this week. I have 2 more things I can run through really quickly.
Excellent.
So, Bad Education on HBO makes me a little sad to run through this quickly because I actually really liked this. So this is new HBO movie came out I think over the last couple of days.
It's a movie. I thought it was a TV show. I was gonna check it out.
No, it's a movie. It's Hugh Jackman is the lead. Allison Janney is in it as well. I think they're the 2 biggest name actors. And basically, it's about a very successful school system in New York that rose up the ranks really quickly under the supervision of a stylish and charismatic superintendent. And everything is not as it seems. And it's a true story. So this is based on actual reporting that happened in the early 2000s in Long Island. So I'd give it a 4 out of 5. This is probably my second favorite thing that I watched this week. I would definitely check it out. It's a movie. You should watch it if you have some time. And then the other thing that I saw, I finished Ozark season 3. So also, since we've talked about it, I think every episode, I'll just be quick with it. I really liked it. Season 1 is the best season by far. I would probably put Ozark season 3 as a 4 as well. I think it's actually a little bit of a drop off from season 2. Seasons 1 and 2 of Ozark seemed like a complete story, and without giving too many spoilers, maybe soft spoilers for Ozarks, season 2 really seems to resolve a lot of the conflicts that they have that they started at the beginning of the show with. And so season 3, while like the acting is good, the characters are good,
The acting is phenomenal.
the acting is amazing. Everything that they get into is interesting. There's like a big manufactured feel of things to me. Like they invented all of these new conflicts, which I guess it's a TV show. You have to have conflict. It's not going to be like, and they lived happily ever after off of drug cartel money with no consequences. But
you don't need conflict.
Look at Love Is Blind. You just need hot people.
I was gonna say Silicon Valley is one of those shows where like the conflict almost ruined it to the point where like, can we just have them be wildly successful and freaking hilarious?
I do agree with you there because every episode of Silicon Valley always ends with, and then this went horribly wrong.
Yeah. I love Silicon Valley, but it does get exhausting after a while.
Tres Comas.
But yeah, so back to Ozarks though. I mean, I agree with most of what you're saying. I definitely think season 3 took a drop off, but it's still fantastic.
Yeah. If you definitely watch the first season. It's amazing. Second season rounds the story out. And if you watch those 2 seasons, you have to watch the third one to like see where the characters go. And it's still good, but it's not as good as the first 2.
It still doesn't qualify as one of those shows where like, it's hard to find a show that's consistently good every single season. So it's still good every single season. It's just it needs more seasons to see what happens.
Yep.
But let me bridge the gap. Well, wait, actually, there's one more thing I want to talk about because we haven't mentioned any video games, and there's a video game that just dropped. I think it was either yesterday or today, but Gears Tactics just came out. So this is a turn-based shooter. Takes place in the Gears of War universe, and normally I don't like turn-based games, but I really like the Gears games, so I wanted to check it out. And it's only on PC right now, but if you have a Game Pass for it's the Ultimate Bundle. So the Ultimate Bundle gets you, it's $15 a month. It gets you Xbox Live, Game Pass for your Xbox, and Game Pass for your PC. So I got to play it. I didn't have to pay any money for it because I already had the Ultimate Game Pass. So another really cool thing about Game Pass is this week's episode is brought to you by Xbox Game Pass. No, the really cool thing is I'm at work. I saw it was available. I pushed a button, and then it downloaded at home. Like, I didn't have to get home and wait to it to be downloaded. It was already done. And I've played through the first chapter so far, and it's pretty fun. I'm enjoying it, which is saying a lot because I usually hate these types of games. So it's like XCOM, if you've ever played XCOM, or like Halo Wars, or like StarCraft, Command and Conquer, those kinds of games.
Okay, it's like an RTS.
Yes, it's a real-time strategy. And they really tie the original Gears game into it like really well, like with the way you take cover behind stuff, the way you get the perfect reloads, the way you do your executions. So it's a pretty fun game. If you've got Game Pass, I definitely recommend checking it out. If you don't like RTSs, like real-time strategy games, like I don't, I'm still enjoying it, so it's worth checking out. If you're building a gaming PC and you're gonna, join the master race, and you already got the Game Pass, it's worth checking out. So
I was gonna throw that in there. I'm really excited to access some of these titles on Game Pass, and then like check out the difference between the graphics quality of the console and the PC. I'm really pumped about that, and I'm just so hard. So hard.
Get that sound. Where's that sound effect at? Say that
Hold
again.
All right.
We can see Hummer on video chat, so we can confirm that that's true.
Yeah,
Very true.
Yep,
Very
I
true.
can see it. It's impressive. For this Gears game, does it happen within the continuity of the normal Gears universe? Is there can you pinpoint when it happens? Is it contemporary with?
If you're a Gears of War fan and you know the story is the Locust, which are the bad guys, come out from under the planet's surface and start attacking the humans. I think they're humans. It's not Earth, but so it takes place right after that when they first show up and start attacking. So it's before the original Gears 1 takes place. So it's kind of like a prequel.
Okay. Cool.
But there are other prequels, but there's so many games in that franchise. Worth checking out. I'm not going to give it a rating yet because I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah. But now let me bridge the gap for what's hot right now and some of the more retro stuff, because I've got a show it's the third season in, but the third season just came out, and that's Future Man. Have you guys all seen Future Man?
I've seen season 1.
Negative Ghost Rider pattern is full.
Roger. So Future Man, it's made by Seth Rogen. It stars what's his name? Josh Hutcherson, who's Peter Millark in the Hunger Games.
Peter. I love you, Peter.
That's the one.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to hear more of that, actually.
Peter was probably my least favorite character, and I don't know if that's intentional in that show. Like, I like the game builder better than Peter.
Big Hey Mitch fan over here.
the naming in that book, like the authors, the names that she makes for the characters are all so terrible and stupid. It really took me out of that book, but that's a whole different subject.
Ooh, anyway, brought to you next week by the Mockingjay.
Yeah, I'm going to review all of them, and they're all going to get a 1.
They're going to get a watch the movie instead.
Yeah. So it's got Eliza Coupe, who she's amazing in Happy Endings. If you've never seen Happy Endings, it was like a short-lived sitcom
Okay, I was afraid we were going there for a second.
Oh yeah, no, that's a whole different. Exactly. And it's got Derek Wilson, who I don't know if he's in anything else, but he's amazing in that show. Um, so basically, Seth Rogen's made it, so it's nothing but stupid humor, dick and fart jokes. The whole plot is so dumb. It's basically the Last Starfighter. This Josh Hutcherson's character is really good at a video game. He's the only one in the world to beat it. So these two people travel back in time to recruit him as the savior, and so it's a time travel comedy series on Hulu. But it's really funny. It's so dumb. All right, you're not gonna get anything out of it. But if you just want to watch something stupid and laugh, it's great for that. Especially in this most recent season, there's some really hilarious. I don't want to ruin anything because I don't want to. They're all good jokes. But if you're looking for a TV show and you want a comedy to watch after you watch Middleditch and Schwartz, you can check out Future Man. But I'm not gonna give it a good rating because it's so stupid. But I still love it. So I think you should check it out, but don't go out of your way. That's a 3 out of 5 for me for Future Man.
Nice.
I know you saw the first season, Tito. So what'd you think?
Season 1 I thought was good. It's definitely a lot of dumb. I wouldn't even call it dumb, but like silly jokes, like good natured stuff you can kind of laugh at. Like jokey. I don't know. Yeah, like a lot of wiener jokes and a lot of fart jokes.
A lot of wiener jokes in season 2.
We're talking boobs. We're talking butts. Yeah, I definitely I didn't honestly know they had made it to 3 seasons, so I certainly will check it out. That sounds like a way better option to put on in the background when I'm working on some mindless stuff, rather than the Willoughbys. So yeah, I like the characters and the show is funny. It was I at least thought the time travel stuff was somewhat clever and well done. So yeah, I'll definitely check it out and see where it has gone the last couple seasons.
Oh, Seth Rogen also joins the cast in season 3. That's huge.
Sold.
One more before I forget about this one. Have you guys been watching Dickie on FX?
Dave?
Yeah, or Dave. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, man.
I started.
Yeah, I love it. It's on my list.
I just recently caught up, and I was texting one of my other buddies and said that I hadn't laughed that hard at a TV show since while we're talking about dick and fart jokes, the dick episode of Silicon Valley. And how fast you can jerk off the entire room with using
the mean dick ratio.
The mean dick ratio. Like that to me was one of the funniest 3 minutes in television I've ever watched. But the last episode of Dickie just had me rolling for the full 30 minutes. I think that show right now is currently one of the funniest shows on television. And and it's surprising that it's all not fart and dick jokes if you know Little Dickie's music. It's been really surprising that I don't think that's the whole, it's not the intent of the show. At first it was, but now it's actually gone into a real comedy routine, and I'm finding it very, very, very fascinating.
Man, it's so good. It's really good. Have you? So the most recent one that came out, they were at a wedding. Was that the most recent one you've seen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Man, it's so good, and there's definitely some episodes where it's just good jokes, dumb stuff. That's funny. He's actually an excellent rapper. So he's a joke that kind of runs through the whole thing is people are like, oh, you're like the Lonely Island, you're like a joke. But while he does rap and a lot of his raps are funny, he's actually really strong and good. And running joke is that he gets offended that people don't take him seriously. But on top of all that stuff, there's some just really well done and well written episodes where they will introduce something one of the first things that happens in the episode, and you think a lot of random things are happening throughout, and then at the end something ties it all together, and you see that all of these random strands that were happening throughout the episode are all come together really nicely. It's really, really well done. I was saving it for my personal projects section because I wasn't sure how many people are actually seeing it. But no, like if you've seen it and you like it, maybe it should get more of a wider shout. Like it's highly recommend.
Yeah, I don't know how we honestly skipped over it for so long and didn't address it because it's so good.
Yeah,
And if you haven't listened to his album, Professional Rapper, that's actually pretty good too. Um,
yeah,
it has a mix of like funny, funny type rap as he calls it, but then some serious raps. But if I'm listening to the lyrics of the album on some of those songs, it almost seems like the beginning of the show is actually kind of like following the path of his life.
yeah. I think so.
Do you
Um,
fuck with the war?
Pillow talk.
he he makes me mad because I that album came out I think in like 2013,
Is it
and it was
that
good.
old?
Yeah, it was. It came out 2 cities ago for me, so that was uh way back in 2013. Um, are you checking it out?
Yeah,
Cor-
we're
Yeah,
fact
correct me if
checking.
I'm wrong. Um, but yeah, it came out a long time ago, and
2015, yeah, so that's about right.
2015. Yeah, so like 5 years ago, and every like I've been waiting every couple of years, and I was like, oh well, maybe he just went and did something else, and it's the show is great, but it's funny to me that he went from this like rap album that like was a good first album a lot of people liked to nothing for 5 years to a TV show. I guess if I like got suddenly super famous when I was in my mid 20s, I probably would have partied real hard for a few years.
Well, I
So,
mean, he did do a
You,
couple songs.
you
Yeah,
still
so
did.
I live really close to where he grew up. My wife and I take Italian lessons at the high school where he went. So it's also kind of
Bellissima.
yeah, it's funny
uh,
hearing him talk about some of these places. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've been there. That place sucks.
yeah, it's good. Highly recommend. I kind of want to give it. Well, since you brought it up, what did you rate it? What's your
I
rating?
give it a 5, hands down. I think it's one of the funniest shows on television that you need to watch, and that's
Wow.
I'm giving it a 5. But I'm also like I know everything has to feel like everything has to have a caveat. It's not very kid friendly, so watch it in your spare time, but definitely watch it.
Certainly not kid friendly. Yeah.
Yeah, don't feel like you need to watch this show while you're eating dinner with the family or on movie night.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. I was thinking about giving it a 4 because I was wondering if it's accessible to everyone. Like, I think my dad would be like, "What? Oh, what is this? It's a white rapper." Um, but
Not in my
no,
not in my America.
movie night. Um, it's really well written. It's funny. The character, like each individual character, I find really interesting. I think this is a show that like a year from now people will look back and like everyone will be rating it pretty highly. So yeah, I'll jump in with you, Hummer. I'll give it a 5.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
We're a very positive group of people.
Quick segue. I was thinking about this and like, we for the most part the things that we watch are probably going to be on the good side, and especially if we watch it all the way through, they're going to be things that we like. So like, for the most part, it's going to be positive. So yeah, but Little Dicky, very positive.
If you guys got some suggestions though that you think that we'll think is a big hot stinker, we'll definitely
Happy
check it out.
to watch a stinker.
There was some clapping for you.
That was some weak clapping.
It just said clapping 2 on my soundboard. I don't. What's clapping 3?
I want those claps.
So any
Did I hear you say you
anything-
want to
so
clap?
I did hear that. So anything retro that maybe somebody never got to check out back when it was hot that you guys have checked out that you might recommend?
So one thing I checked out recently, this is not a secret. This is retro, but not a secret. Everybody played this. So I don't know if you ever heard of Halo. There are multiple multiple games in the series. Oh shit! I muted my boing sound effect by accident. Anyway, there are multiple games in the series. There's the Halo Master Chief Collection, which collects all of them together.
Whack.
And I did not tell Hummer or Frank this, but I was recently playing with my buddy Javed on Halo. And
Dude, I play Halo.
Kill you, Javed.
man, Halo holds up so well. Like it was. I think everybody remembers. I'm trying to think if we've even talked about this before, but everybody remembers LAN. Like every good nerd remembers LAN parties in their basement, bringing over 2 or 3 Xboxes, hooking them all together, and having all the boys. Definitely no girls.
Maybe some
playing,
effeminate boys.
Yeah, playing in a in a smelly basement. Talk about a stinker. So that we were just playing some Halo, and it's still really fun. We love to play Overwatch with you guys, obviously, but Halo. If you don't have Game Pass, if you're just looking for something that you can squat up with the boys on a Friday night when you have some time, like Halo is amazing. Jump in; it's so fun. It brings back tons of memories. I don't think there's too much I can say about Halo that hasn't been said in the past, other than like it still holds up. Even Halo 1. Jump in. It feels great. So that's what I did this past week that was retro.
Are you talking about Halo, the first Halo, or are you talking about the Master Chief Collection?
We played Master Chief Collection, and then I tried to convince Javed to play some Halo 5, but he didn't want to leave that safety of the Master Chief Collection. But Halo 5 also. Campaign not as great, but the multiplayer is my favorite out of all the Halos personally.
Is Java just mad at me because I utterly destroyed him last time we played? That's what I'm going to assume is the case.
As you bring it up every time you talk about Javed, he also brings it up every time he talks about you. So it's a nice, it's a beautiful relationship the two of you have.
It's nice to be talked about.
I would love to play some Halo this weekend. Like we played for like 2 days, and I had to do all of this work. I even bought an external hard drive to download all these games on, and no one played it ever again.
I still play, but I don't tell you.
If you don't know, the Master Chief Collection, which is on Game Pass, has Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4. Even if you don't have Game Pass, you can buy one disc and get Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4. That is insane. Like, that is such a good value, and you get the multiplayer working for all 4, and you can play through all of the campaigns. And you even get Halo ODST, which is like a spin-off game that came out. Halo, they just added Halo Reach. So there's 6 games built into one game. So if you're looking for a game, maybe you played everything that's new, yes, and you've never played Halo, it's one of the best games of all time. It revolutionized first-person shooters. It revolutionized online gaming. If for some reason you somehow never checked out Halo, definitely get back. Definitely pick up Xbox and do Halo. Jumping on with Tito too, something retro I played was this week Gears of War. So I'm not going to take a long time because we're running out of time, but
that's Game Pass. That's $14.99 a month.
Yeah. Use our download code and we'll get 3 cents. But the original Gears of War.
Wait,
so
we can
I was
do
playing
that?
this. Maybe, I don't know. Look into it. Brought to you by Carl's Jr. The original Gears of War, I was replaying it to get ready for Gears Tactics, and it still holds up, and it's phenomenal because they made a Ultimate Edition. So they updated the graphics so you can play it on Xbox One. So I'm replaying the campaign. I'm on the last level, but I never realized this was the first time I ever played Gears of War not with another person. I've always played with like somebody else because it's probably the best cooperative game of all time. That game was built to be played by 2 people. So it's actually pretty weird playing with just one person. But if you've never played a Gear, the first one, the Ultimate Edition's on also Game Pass, so you don't have to pay for it, and it is 100% worth your time. The campaign's fun, the shooting's great. They updated it so you can still play multiplayer if you want. So 5 out of 5. If you've never played Halo and you never played Gears, I'd probably recommend Halo over Gears because it's got a longer history. There's more stuff to do. There's more games, but if you want a more cinematic story experience, definitely play Gears of War, the original, but play the Ultimate Edition. 5 out of 5.
Maybe that'll be the first game I download on the PC off of the Xbox Game Pass, especially if it's remastered. Turn it up to Ultra.
Yeah, I'll play with you. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because that game was meant to be played co-op. So anything personal you guys are working on that you want to share with our 2 fans before we sign off here?
So I finished War and Peace. I'm just kidding. I didn't. I have another 15 minutes to talk about War and Peace. No, the only thing that I've been still working on is that's just is worth a mention is I've still slowly working my way through Doom, but it's an amazing game. Every level is better than the last level, and said this before, young kids, like, you're just chilling out, even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just jump on, knock out some really amazing gameplay. It stacks. It starts out amazing and it gets better as you go along. Still loving as I play my way through it.
Did you get the Crucible yet?
Did I get the Crucible yet? I don't think so.
All right, never mind. I won't say anything.
Okay. I would know if I had gotten it.
Yeah, it's a giant flaming sword that if you go back and play with unlimited ammo, it's so fun.
No, I have not gotten that.
What about you, Hummer?
No, we already mentioned it. I got the I'm going to finish at least hooking up the hardware tonight. I'll probably install Windows on it tomorrow. I'm going to get the PC up and running, and we're going to be gaming in some ultra high definition, and we are going to become a member of the Master Race.
It's different when you say that.
Yeah. That's...
You can't say that.
Yeah. Aww. Really quick, let me drop something on you guys right before we finish up here. So we talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and we're positive guys. We're frankly very positive. So out of everything we talked about, one thing that you would recommend, someone has one thing they can put their time into. What do you think, Hummer?
One thing you can put your time into?
Out of what we talked about.
Out of what we talked about? Oh, it's definitely going and checking out Dave.
Yeah, honestly, that was what you talking about is what kind of made me think about it. Is like, I saw a lot of stuff. I saw a lot of stuff I liked this last week. If someone were to ask me what to check out, I would say watch Dave. There's I think 9 episodes out now, and it's season finale is the next episode. So that would be my my top one. Yeah, go watch Dave.
Mine is Middleditch and Schwartz. It's only 3 episodes. They're both half hour. Definitely, if you want to laugh a lot, I loved it. Definitely check out Middleditch and Schwartz.
Perfect.
Nice.
But you did skip over my personal project, but that's okay.
My bad. What was your personal project?
All I was gonna say is that I finally got, because Amazon got delayed, I finally got Movies and Other Things by Shea Serrano, so I'm gonna start reading through that. And I looked through a little bit, and some of that stuff in there is so funny.
It's great. It's really good.
Oh, so next week, can we please talk about watching movies and picturing like The Rock as the lead role?
Yes, that'll be our What's Old segment.
Let's see if we can get The Rock on here next week. Let me reach out to him, see what we can do.
I'll talk to the Russos. Maybe they can get me in.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, so you can follow the Russos on Twitter, and you can follow us on Twitter at TimesinkPod. We're on Instagram at TimesinkPod, Facebook at TimesinkPod. We are now available on Google and Apple as well, so download us on your favorite podcast service. You can follow me at K1NG Sauce on Twitter. And you can follow Hummer somewhere if you want to share that.
At Long Duck Don. What's happening, hot stuff?
And Tito is a social media black hole, so you'll never find him.
I'm a ghost.
Go find him on Facebook. Only if you know his real name.
He's like Beetlejuice. You'll never know. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. If you got any suggestions, comments, leave a like, leave a comment, and we'll talk about whatever you want us to. And join us next Thursday.